guys checking out the MSNBC weekend. Former leader of the RNC, and now he's over and has been for several years over on the Democratic side because he was of no use to them on that side. He couldn't attract black people. He wasn't a uniter of anything, and he apparently wasn't very smart. But he was smart enough to know that he could fall back on his blackness and end up on MSNBC and do shows like the one we're about to watch. This video clip, I just like to share stuff like this so you guys can see how hard they try to keep roping in the, I mean, they got black people support in the high 80s. Maybe this is what's required to maintain it, but it's out there. But here we go.
I couldn't be more honored to tell the American people that we're bringing back their dollars and we're saving them and returning them to the United States Treasury.
So I think we're doing a lot of good and an excellent collaboration with the cabinet to achieve these savings.
This country has gotten bloated and fat and disgusting.
That's a little bit descriptive. These guys have promised us that the reason they are gutting the government is to save you money, save all of us money. But here's the thing. When you take a step back and look at what they're actually doing, you begin to realize they're not doing a very good job of saving us money. A Wall Street Journal analysis of daily financial statements issued by the Treasury Department found that government spending since the inauguration in January of this year is $154 billion more than in the same period in 2024 during the...
I mean, it could be a lot of reasons for that. Joe Biden didn't go nowhere. He was locked up in the White House or at his house or wherever the hell he was at. And you don't spend a lot of money when you do that. I mean, he was at home chilling. He wasn't giving press conferences. He wasn't spending a lot of fuel on the airplane. That's totally understandable. And he was doing a lot of quick executive orders in the beginning that cost a lot of money and that, according to Trump, need to be redone. That immigration issue alone is going to cost, of course, billions of dollars. If not, that might not be most of it, but I could absolutely see why more money would be spent under Trump than as opposed to Biden. In my opinion, I don't think Biden was doing very much. Trump is coming in and basically transforming the government according to the Democrats as we know it. I'm starting to really take a step back and realize no matter how much they fight and how much they tell us that the government is changing dramatically and all of that, that it's not going to change very much for black people. So with that in mind, we need to, calm ourselves down and be real measured on how we respond to some of this stuff, because they're sending them out there after us, you guys. And we need to really be calm about this and start thinking, wait a minute, what if he do implement Project 2025 100%? Is it going to help black people? Is it going to harm black people any more than what we're already being harmed? Those are the kind of things we need to start looking at and measuring our growth and the directions that we take on that kind of stuff, and not just based on somebody like Richard Steele wondering if Trump spent more than Biden. He didn't spend it on black people, so it don't matter who did what with the $154 billion. That's what I'm hoping Elon Musk and them finally, after they finish cleaning up their financial house, realize, oh, we forgot black people. But I don't think they will. So it's probably going to be our responsibility to step up in a united front. I didn't realize how divided black people were until recently and lately. And, we got our black folks who, a small portion of them, who own businesses or have really good jobs and income, which is relying upon their employer or the government, depending on where they work. And then we have our other blacks who rely on Social Security and government benefits to make it. And either way, we don't have a big enough portion of our group that's self-sufficient. And until we achieve, other than our actors and entertainers and to be as rich as they are not the best role models for us. You know, there are individuals among those groups who stand out, but for the most part, you know, to get money and spend it, to have a chain hanging around your neck that costs more than most people's homes is not a good image to portray. That's not what we want our kids to want to follow and see. If you see your child buying a gold chain and you know that the gold chain he's about to buy is probably going to cost months and months and months of him saving up his salary, unless he's smart and go get a fake one. But if he's really going to buy a real chain and put that kind of money into it, that child needs to be taught, because he needs to be taught investment. He's learned how to save. He's learned how to save to go get a gold chain. So I know we can teach that child to invest. But with that, anyway, it looks like Richard Steele and our black politicians are still, you know, the pundits on TV, still more concerned with getting us on the surface and not digging down deep. And having our support is what they're looking for. Helping us isn't. And keep that in mind. To benefit where we are in this country, and we're in a very bad place considering everything. Richard Steele and his cronies and friends and colleagues should be able to write up better programs than this.
Biden administration. Let me break it down. That means Donald Trump has spent $154 billion more than Joe Biden did at this time a year ago. The analysis essentially shows that Elon Musk's slash and burn philosophy isn't saving the American taxpayer money at all, which explains why he lowered his projected savings dramatically yesterday during a cabinet meeting. Meanwhile, Trump is set to land in West Palm Beach tonight, which is part of his weekly weekend vacation exodus.
You know what? And this is me. If Donald Trump has time to go and hang out in Florida or Mar-a-Lago or New York City or anywhere else after the schedule he's keeping up, running all over the town in front of the mics, and in my opinion, not hiding yet, because the tariff wars and all that stuff going on, I would have thought, because that's what politicians do in modern times, they disappear. They don't become accessible to the media or to the mics. And he's having cabinet meetings with press available and answering questions during a time when the Democrats keep telling us that we are imploding, that the country is falling apart, that China is about to kick our ass. It sounds like half of our government is rooting for us to lose. And they might be. But win, lose, this is one of those wars that when it's over with, we're going to be in the same place as black people. And that's something that we need to consider and just pay attention to. Don't get distracted, but do pay attention and listen to what Richard Steele is saying. Ooh, 150. Well, I look at it like that's some money that they could have put toward educating black people and allowing us to with our black professors and intelligent folks in this country to let people do what we used to do. Teach our kids, tell our kids, repeat to our kids again and again and again until they get it, until they're tired of hearing it. And then when you ain't there to repeat it to them no more, they miss you. They're like, wow, you know, a story that they know like the back of their hand, but they would give anything to hear it again from that original source, their grandmother, you know, or their uncle, their aunt, their mom, or older sister or brother. Those are the kind of events that shape us and form us. And the stories that we're being told make us who we are. We can't be being told negative stories or stories that don't matter about some amount of money and we feel like we love. Oh, wow, I'm sure glad Richard Steele told me that, because now I won't support Trump. I'll support Biden because he was more fiscally responsible. And it's like, come on, who do they think they're talking to? But a preponderance of this stuff does get in some points. If they just keep hitting you on all fronts, eventually you will bend and break and show cracks. But this one here, folks, about Biden spending so much less money than Trump did at this same point in his presidency is laughable. Because at this same point in Biden's presidency, he hadn't done anything except sent letters down to the heads of the border telling them to relax their policies. And the result was mass illegal immigration.
Since January, he has spent 10 out of the 11 weeks at one of his properties, according to one estimate published in 2019.
And that's what I'm saying. 10 out of the 11 weeks at one of his properties that he's been in the White House. And he's still been in front of the mic. We've seen him at the White House. We've seen him coming down Air Force One. We've seen him in military installations. We've seen him meeting with foreign leaders. He's been doing all this. And it's just been 11, 12 weeks. And he's just complaining because the man's been home or managed to go home once per week out of those 11 or 12. What's he complaining about? What is that even about? That he's energetic? That he's an old man who can move around real fast? What is his point?
By the Government Accountability Office, each trip to Mar-a-Lago, and this is in 2019 dollars, cost the American taxpayer roughly $3.3 million. Joining me now is Congresswoman Stacey.
I would think a trip to Target or Walmart would cost us a significant amount of money because you're dealing with security details and all the other logistic things that got to go in to get the man to Target or Walmart if that's what he chooses to do. They'll probably try to talk him out of it. Sir, what is it you need? We'll go get it. But if he insists, it's going to cost us some money, and a lot of things do. But what is the point? What is the point? To dislike Trump because he spends a little more money on his moving about and because he goes home once a week? I don't know. What is the point? The point is this. We need to be focused on what we need to be focused on and not what Richard Steele is pointing out, whatever the hell he's talking about. Because I have no idea where he's going with that. Do you? I know. But he ain't done yet. Maybe he's going to bring it home.
Plaskett, delegate to the House of Representatives from the U.S. Virgin Islands. Madam Congresswoman, it's great to have you at the table.
Good to be here with you.
There's a whole lot of cost savings going on right now.
Well, not really.
But how come we don't seem to see it? Where is it?
It's not really for you. They're not really saving money, right? The American.
And they never do. And that's just a point. If Trump didn't take these trips and that 154 billion was back in the American coffers or whatever you want to, where they put the money when they don't blow it, would it go to us? Would it go in a way to benefit us? You know, I mean, it seems like right now we keep fighting for the wrong stuff, and it's so important that we are able to fight back some of this stuff instead of a lot of black folks, and a lot of us are very upset about the Department of Education on the federal level going away. It's something that I'm very passionate about, but not in trying to save it, not in trying to do anything, but let it die. I can't think of a positive thing to say about the Department of Education as far as it pertains to black people. I grew up in a community where our school district was taken over by the state. Compton Unified could no longer run itself. I'm sorry, it was taken away from the state. And we couldn't even run ourselves, our own school district. Taken away from us and run from the powers above. And did crime go down? Did the children start learning different types of curriculum? Were they introduced to the real fact that before they were brought over here as slaves, there were black people in the what we call the United States now, in the Americas, on the West Coast, all up and down and through here. But they would never teach the kids that, because then that would make this their home as opposed to a place they were just kidnapped and brought to. It's a whole lot more history that needs to be taught, and it needs to be taught in the right context so that people can look at their ancestry and their lives and their faces in mirrors differently. When you come to a continent like we did, and you go down into Mexico and you see those big old black heads, and the people, the Indians didn't build them, who they call the Native American, they didn't build them. The Native Americans got more black in them than they have anything. Look at them. Where did they come from? Would they come from a little bit of race blending, but that dark skin, where does that come from? And what preceded them? Where did they learn from? Where did the pyramids in Mexico come from? All this is the stuff we need to be asking ourselves, not about no $156 billion that Biden saved us as opposed to Trump. Biden didn't do anything. And as of right now, Trump ain't doing anything but confusing people and scaring folks. But the people that he's scaring are people that matter, because this is front page news. It ain't like he just coming in and doing things like Reagan did that just directly targeted a group of people and a class of people. He's just kind of really out there with it. And I believe that if you know what he's doing, you can probably rest assured that he's going to be okay and bring it home in the end, and you're going to be good. But if you don't know what this man is doing, I could see the panic. But I don't want to use his wild swings forth and back and all over the place to affect our mental being and our ability to think our way through this without letting people think for us and panic. These are two black people who should be in positions where black people should be able to turn on our TV and trust them and listen to them and what they got to say. She's a representative in the House of Representatives, and he's a news pundit and a former leader of the Republican Party, the RNC chairman, Richard Steele. And he decided to abandon that party, or got kicked out of it, and ended over on the Democratic side as a second choice. But all he's doing is making a paycheck, just trying to rope in black people. Is he benefiting us? Does he have a message for us? Does he have anything that's going to tell us what we need to do different that we keep duplicating our prior existence, and decade after decade we're not moving forward, and we continue to be tricked into prisons and drugs and illegal behavior, and those are the things that our pundits, they wouldn't be on TV. I know it'd be few and far in between, but maybe they need to get YouTube channels, because it needs to be talked about. It needs to be put out there. And these people cannot continue to pretend to represent us by putting black people on TV, but never saying anything about black people in a positive way. Lead us the direction that we need to go, and not the direction that the Democratic Party or the Republican Party has told you to take us.
Enterprise Institute did a study. Elon Musk says he has saved $140 billion with his cost savings. And the AEI, which is a conservative group, says that no, actually, in fact, it was about $10 billion through the government cost savings.
And he laughs. But that's taxpayers' dollars that she's talking about. What if the number was off by 90%? What if they said we saved you $100 million, but you only saved $10 million? I mean, that's $10 million of taxpayers' money, and he laughed. His natural response was to laugh, because that's how serious he takes it. And just because they didn't find it don't mean it don't exist. There could be fraud that this Doge committee ain't gonna find. This stuff is well thought out by Congress folks and business folks and contractors. And all the fraud isn't going to be caught. And by Trump eliminating entire departments, he's getting rid of fraud that they're not even catching. They're just getting rid of the whole department, because it's a lot of it going on, unfortunately. But I tell you this, to laugh when somebody talks about an amount of money that is derived from a taxpayer, and your initial response is to laugh, it speaks a lot about that person.
A hell of a difference.
That's a tenth, not even a tenth of what they said it was going to be spending. So this is just a farce. It's all a farce. It's all a joke. This is not about saving costs in government. This is about destroying government that is there to benefit the American people,
right,
so that they can enrich themselves.
So what are they spending this money on? I mean, so is this one of those where they're robbing from this account to put money in another account? What do you see from your perch inside the Congress and the various committees that you serve on?
Well, we are asking that there be an investigation of where this
Right.
money is actually going and what.
Yeah, she know where it's going. It's going to run the damn government. It's going to fund the deportation efforts, which is futile. You guys, I know a lot of this stuff that Trump is doing is for show. It looks like it's for show, but that should wake us up even more. Okay, we know this bus we just got off of, or some of us are just sitting in the parking lot with the motor running, ain't taking us anyplace. And then this other one over here, who knows what's going on, but we know that the goodness in his heart and the goodness in his policies isn't directed at us either. So what are we going to do? Are we going to wait until one of them get it together, or are we going to get it together? That's what I'm trying to get everybody to think. You know what? Why should we wait on the Democrats? Because when they do get it together and get a winning formula, if they can find one that doesn't include us, then believe me, we'll be the first to know about it. If it doesn't include us and they don't need us, they won't use us. We'll start seeing ourselves being pushed back. The pundits, the black pundits on TV, everything that black people have been benefiting from being black will start to be kind of, oh no, we're good. We don't need you. You know, we're gonna get Julio Iglesias Jr. to do the Super Bowl this. You'd be like, oh, really? You know, we just think we got a lock on entertainment and sports in this country. If they don't need us, they won't use us. They need us right now because there ain't nobody who's as good at this shit as we are. But can we at least use that to make them take us seriously and to take ourselves more seriously, and not to take a position in Congress to get up there and talk about the money that's saved from Trump to Biden or Biden to Trump? Why don't you talk about the money that's still not being pushed toward black people, and not through SBCUs where you guys are getting money from the government to run SBCUs? It has to be a different way and a better way, and where our kids can go to school exclusive in a black school with nobody else, no other race teaching them, no other race sitting alongside them learning, and really get the curriculum right, adjust it so these kids can come out of those colleges not feeling that they're better than the other kids who didn't go to college, or smarter than, and the money ain't that different when you get out. And especially if you take a black kid and they just could decide, I'm just gonna go to Stanford, you know, if they're able to do that, or UCLA or USC, and then another kid wants to go to a SBCU, don't go to a SBCU and let them pump you up to feel that you walking on air and not a level of understanding of being black that nobody else has, because that's not the truth. That's what divides us. That's why. But if you do feel you have something that you can contribute to other black people, it should be shared and taught, because that's what we have done historically. And now we're in a place where we hoard and hold back information and knowledge from each other because we want to feel superior. Because once you share that knowledge, you're no longer superior to those people. They're exactly like you, which is a good thing. But we prefer the superiority feeling as opposed to the teacher, the person who's enlightening, the enlightener of folks. We have, and maybe it's because of the company we're keeping.
The contracts are. Many of us find it very curious that many of the agencies are one that either Elon Musk has litigation or disputes with,
Of course.
or ones in which he has contracts that he believes he himself is going to be the one to save them, meaning he will put in more contracts for his own personal wealth.
Meaning that he's doing some illegal shit. Just say it. Just come out and call the man like if that's what you think he's doing. It's bad that we're still trying to link Trump and anybody around him to illegal activities, when it was Biden's son who was convicted in his own administration. You know what I mean? His dad, when your dad's the president, you're getting convicted during that same period. It's kind of hard to say, what they were favorable to Biden. It just happened to say, and then for Biden to speak out in the way he did about the courts is letting you know that he don't believe in the court system when it don't favor him. But how do you think we feel as black people when it never favors us? But then when we speak out against, they just complaining. They need to quit breaking the law. Oh, they just complaining. They need to go get a job. But Biden, the president of the United States, complaining about the judicial system. I'm telling you. And these people on here trying to just take us off into the weeds instead of concentrating on what the thing. There is not a show that a black pundit or a black congresswoman should be on that they're not talking about black people in some capacity. So marrying that up to what they're talking about is easy to do, and it's important to do. And it let black people know, oh shit, they paying attention. They listening to us. And you will listen to them because you would really see what they're talking about. And no, nobody would tell you to unaffiliate with gangs, to not deal in drugs, what colleges and what programs to go enroll in, what fields are good to go into for young black people, and give them encouragement and nuggets to drop nuggets for them so they can enhance their lives instead of getting on here and talking about things that mean absolutely nothing as black people who in most people's eyes are accomplished black people. You should have more to share with your people than just getting up there and talking about comparing Biden from Trump. And that's a real tough one there. It's going to be really interesting to see. I personally think Trump will be looked at more favorably historically than Biden, in my personal opinion. I'll never get over that crime bill that he authored or co-authored, and how he got on the floor of the Senate and just acted an ass, talking about black people point blank, period. And nobody from the caucus, we didn't have no Jasmine Crockett then jumping up, checking them and all. But then we just do that because we're being directed to do that across the aisle. She needs to have that same kind of vigor, Jasmine Crockett, toward her own Democratic friends. Just say point blank, call them out. They'll understand she ain't with that BS. But she won't call them out because she is with that BS. And she has an agenda. And only because her awakening came at the hands of Kamala Harris, I don't feel too confident in her. It's unfortunate to me that she couldn't have gotten in and just kind of found her own way to the light, as opposed to that light being turned on by Kamala, because Kamala had something to do with her being out here on this national stage. And she is nothing like Kamala Harris in her upbringing and who she really is as a person. And I believe her college-educated lawyer field that she chose to go into would be enough. It'd be enough. She don't need to do anything else, nothing else. We'd love her if she would come out and really holler at us like she knows she can. But instead, she trying to holler at us like they want her to. And you're not talking to us when you talk to us from marching orders. You got to holler at us from the heart, and we know you really real with it. And this young lady as well. It's rare that we have black faces representing us in the Congress. And when they do, and they all get in this, I guess it's like a fraternity against us, because they are all together. They are on the same team. Who are they representing? Why are the voices that coming out of the Congress not speaking black talk, not talking to us and about us and for us? How come? Does anybody know? And why are we so okay with it? Why is everybody okay with it? Why is nobody getting mad and we try to get too caught up in the politics till we lose ourselves and have lost ourselves for several decades? We were being led out of this in a very controversial way with Martin Luther King and his nonviolent approach. But it was a movement. It may have not been the best movement. It may not have been something that everybody agreed with. It definitely made the United States government uncomfortable. He was not accepted or felt the way he's looked at now until he was dead. Once he died, then people started feeling more comfortable about him, which makes sense. But we are in a place, folks, where we just keep on show after show after show, letting these people lead us down this rabbit hole. And when we come up, nothing directed at us until we've gotten so used to it that we think that's the way it's supposed to be. Oh, no, it wouldn't be right to talk about us all the time because this is a big country and this is whatever. Let them talk about it then. We need to keep talking about us. It's the only way we're going to get any water poured on that plant. And it'll never grow if we don't get no water poured on it. And we ain't making it happen. We have to.
It's interesting to me. The New York Times talks about the canceled humanities grants to help pay for Trump's Garden of Heroes. More than 85% of his existing grants, which support museums, historical sites, and scholarly and community projects across the country, have been cut.
Right.
And you know what? Most of the museums and I guess they're government-run type buildings that you can go in and see art and see history, but it's distorted. It's not telling you the real. You can go in down into Mexico and you see those big old black heads, the statues. Those aren't Native Americans. Those aren't Mexican. Those aren't Spaniard. What are those? Those are African. And no one can tell you how they got there because they were there before they got there. Which says what? Yeah, what they don't want to tell you. They don't want to teach you that because it changes history as we know it. 1492 was just a boat ride then. It wasn't as historical as they want you to believe it was, but it does work in diminishing how you look at yourself. And that's all I'm saying. There's fossils and DNA and all kind of history that says way different than what we've been forced to live in. We live in this with this thought. People don't even look at it as a lie. You go to a bar and you're sitting next to a guy talking, and you can very easily in the course of your conversation talk about America being discovered in 1492 by Christopher Columbus easily. And nobody would even be upset. Everybody would be like, yeah, okay, that makes sense because that's the accepted lie. But if somebody came into that same bar and started talking and was like, man, when the Africans was already here when Columbus was here at the same time, they were here. He was down in the West Indies somewhere around, not in the main part of North America or nothing, but he was close. And Africans, if his journals were released in a historical context and shared with people, everyone would look at everything differently. And I hurt sometime knowing that these educated black people know, and it's like they feel elevated by keeping it away from other black people or not letting other black people know that you might really not be a descendant of slaves. What if you're not? What if you really your ancestry really was here first? But if your ancestry was African, it's how do you even, what's the difference? They were robbed of their land and murdered in that sense, and they were kidnapped and enslaved in that sense, but you've done that to the same people. And those are the things that need to be talked about in those contexts so that we can understand things are a lot different than the way we just walk around here living it. We're living a lie and we're complicit. We need to not be. And our folks like this, it just does us in service. It doesn't help us. It's a disservice. It doesn't help us in developing our children or being able to trust them to the media or being able to trust them to the school systems in the United States, because it's all guided and done with a plan, so much so that we think that it's just normal life but it's an actual agenda. It's an actual plan directed against you. And it's hard to believe that, but it's the truth. And if it wasn't, then they'd hire black people to get on and talk to us and really talk to us, and not to get on there and deliver a message.
What? For a Garden of Heroes?
Right. He's concerned about the Underground Railroad extolling Harriet Tubman.
Yes.
He's concerned about the African American Museum talking about the truth of this country, right? Which benefits all of us to have that knowledge. Right. He's concerned about that and cutting those things, about the Kennedy Center and who's.
But it's not the truth. It is the artifacts, but they're not being talked about in truth. I mean, that's an unfortunate thing. Can you imagine if you go down into Mexico and you see those pyramids? Everybody thinks of Aztec. They didn't build that. The Aztecs didn't build that. That it didn't. And that's unfortunate that things that are African are being lied about in the Americas. And the worst part is, I don't know if anyone was here before the Africans. It doesn't look like it, but the Africans came to the Americas first. And that's the hardest thing for some black people to accept and for other people to accept. But if you just look at the artifacts and what she just got on, what's in the museums and it should be open for it should be open for everybody with the proper within the proper context, all the way down to how it ended up in that glass case. Who stole it from who? Who does it belong to? Where did it come from? And who gave us the little notation underneath it? Who wrote that? And where did they get their information from? That's the problem. That's the problem. You got these big black statues down in Mexico. You got these pyramids. There's pyramids that are about as close to what you're going to see in Egypt as anywhere on the planet. But all of a sudden, that's just some random. No, that was taught. That was brought from another place and duplicated over here. And everybody got to just accept that so that we can start understanding how important bad education and lies being shoveled down to your children is, because they're not going to progress. They're not going to advance, and they're not going to have an understanding of who they are. And if they don't have an understanding of who they are, and some of us don't, you don't tend to think it's that important. But there's not very much that's more important.
Performing there, whether they liked him or didn't like him, but then he wants to take money and put it for individuals that he decides are the ones that we should be celebrating. Really? I don't trust his taste.
And neither do I, but I don't trust yours either. And what my biggest problem is, they're trying to fire us up to make us hate Elon Musk, because it's harder to make us hate Trump because he was elected in as president. So they're trying to peel us apart off this Elon. Who gives a damn? I don't care what Elon must turn up, find out, discover. He is not the president of the United States, and nobody can tell me he is. He has to get it approved and run through Trump. If it's good, it's Trump's feather in the cap. And if it's bad, Trump must take the lumps. Elon Musk is an advisor, and every president has had him. No president goes in the White House and locks the doors and figures it all out himself. So nobody, and this Democratic idea that they can turn up just because Elon Musk is a very rich man. There's been others. You can't make me hate him. His ideas have to be approved. Once they're approved, hate the person who approved it, and Congress and all of that other stuff. But the stock market, black people aren't notorious for being in the stock market unless we are connected to a 401k or something like that. But as far as we're just not known for that, for being investors. So when this market starts to lose trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars, it's a very unfortunate thing. It doesn't bode well for the country, but it doesn't hurt black people unless you have a 401k or something else tied to it. But in the majority of us aren't involved in the stock market. So then they refer to Social Security and SNAP benefits and all this other stuff being interrupted or harmed or reduced, because that's the only other way they can get to you. And we just got to take ourselves to a place where those things like welfare benefits and state funded and county funded and federally funded programs that we rely on to eat, we got to remove that from our life. We got to be able to do better than that, because then they can control you. And there's no reason for us to be at this point at this time, because they put us in a place at the end of that civil rights movement where we were, I think, afraid to touch that hot stove again, or either through a lot of really, really hard brainwashing. And it's not so much brainwashing as it is fear. I mean, if you mount a real serious effort against this government for your people to advance, not that you're trying to overthrow the government or change the way the government runs, you just want to be treated fairly within that government, that can get you killed.
For him to make the decision
Well,
about
since he's
who
got to
should be
paint his face
celebrated.
on everything, I'm just not,
See, why we, it's so,
color coordination
It's
is an
Friday.
issue.
It's Friday evening. We can go there a little bit.
Friday,
We can be a little petty.
and I haven't even had any adult beverage yet. Here's the deal. What are you guys doing? What's the Congress doing now? We were talking a little bit before about the lack of collegiality, the lack of
Sure.
sense that this institution
Right.
still matters.
Right.
That this institution on the Hill
Right.
still has value in the proposition of this enterprise known as America.
Sure.
How do Democrats work? I mean, what levers can you push or pull to get the answers to a lot of the things that are happening, or more importantly, stop it,
Right.
slow it down?
Well, we are attempting to slow it
Make
down.
it turn a corner.
Things like
Do
Cory
something.
Booker doing his filibuster
Right.
slows it down.
No, that filibuster, that Cory Booker, she shouldn't even say that. And I'm glad she did, though, because it lets you know she with that bullshit. She's willing to lie to us. She's willing to get up there and say that Cory Booker's filibuster did something. It didn't do anything. He wasn't filibustering anything. He was just up there talking about nothing. It wasn't compelling. It wasn't interesting. It wasn't like he was dropping nuggets and everybody was thinking, wow, Cory Booker just opened up a whole new world to us. He didn't do anything. He just got up there and broke a record that was set by Strom Thurmond back in the 50s or something. What is going on? Honestly, that this is a congresswoman and she would even reference that's embarrassing, only because she thinks it worked, or if it didn't work, they want it to work and they want to double down on it and be like, wow, people who may not know her thinking, well, gosh, she said what Cory Booker did. That's nothing to be proud of. To get up there, you get up there and you do that kind of stuff when there's an opportunity for you to change something. You're just getting up there and you're just looking like a fool with a Depends diaper on or whatever the hell, however you got through that. That is just completely unnecessary. You're doing that if you're saving lives. You're doing that if you're really going to change something. You ain't do that to get up there and do nothing. You'll never, only when they start talking about filibuster records will Cory Booker's come up. It'll never, ever, ever come up. And I'm going to tell you how serious it is. When the Republicans ever come to a point where they're powerless and don't have nothing else that they can do, and they have somebody who gets up and does something like that where they have to talk and break Cory Booker's record, they won't reference it because they know they will really be filibustering for some shit that matters to them, that means some shit, and not just up there just talking and wasting our time and not taking us in any definite direction. But if the Republicans do it, they're going to be up there really filibustering some shit. And when they're done, they won't be referencing Cory Booker's filibuster as we just broke Cory Booker's reference, because that's some bullshit what Cory Booker was on. Cory Booker was on some straight bullshit, and he shouldn't have been doing that. It's so misleading to us as black people to have our black leaders do stuff like that. Where's he going with that? Nowhere. Would you believe a congresswoman or a congressman or a senator or someone in power in our government, to a mayor or a governor, a black one, who started talking different, like really saying, no, with this educational system in the United States for black people is unacceptable. We need to legislate it to where it's going to be in the public school system, and we are going to make it mandatory in our private school systems that black people control, which may not be very many, but it could be, because we got to put a priority on it. We have to understand how important it is to educate our children, and then we will see how important it is to build our own schools, to really build them and really teach the kids the right stuff based on the facts, based on the archaeology, based on the world history. You know, I mean, look at the continent of Africa. Without the continent of Africa, there'd be no France. There'd be no UK. And the United States wouldn't even be as strong as it is. The African continent has just been raped of its people, of its resources, of its minerals, of everything. And everybody okay with it because they're benefiting from it. And we act like we're okay with it, and we shouldn't be. And we shouldn't be okay with how we're being treated over here. There's a connection, and unfortunately, some of the culture and some of the history and some of the religion has been lost or interrupted. But the bottom line is that DNA hasn't been. And if anybody was in America and had DNA that matched yours or mine, and then that should tell you Columbus didn't find this country, and how come we aren't being treated differently? How come we're being treated like slaves who were dragged over from Africa as opposed to the original people of this land, as well as the original people of that land? We just predated them. Ain't nothing you can do about it. But hiding history isn't the answer. And black people on TV talking about historical sites and museums and not referencing why it's important. Not just so you can go see some old bones. So you can understand those old bones got the same DNA in them that yours got. People need to be told that. Well, wait. Before the native Indians.
Having our own independent hearings that the Democrats are starting to have, because we don't have the power to call witnesses.
Right.
We don't have the power to subpoena people or decide what a hearing is going to be on. But
Because you lost the election. Say that. Because you lost the election. But you do have the right to educate. And you do have the power to educate. Congress can do a lot. I'm telling you. Congress can do a lot. People get up there and getting into it with Marjorie Taylor Greene and Jasmine. They fighting and fussing. And all they got to do is take their time and really talk to their people. And unfortunately, if they start speaking the truth, it would probably make a lot of black people in America disband from the Democratic Party, because our leaders will be telling us the truth. Don't come over here. These people bullshitting. They wasting your time. They don't love us. And start saying no to them when they send our, I'm talking to our Congress people. Start saying no to them, Congress people, when they start sending you on these fool's errands out into your communities to talk to your people in a way that your people are looking at you funny, like, that don't sound like how she usually talk. That's weird. You know, people who know Jasmine Crockett, they who know her in real life, know that ain't how she talk. She's not a honey child kind of girl, you know. I mean, some people really do talk that way, and it is how they communicate. But for her to do that, it's almost like putting on blackface. Like, as a black person, do you have to do that to relate to your people? What's inside you? Who are you? And why can't you just talk like Jasmine Crockett really talk and connect us? That's kind of strange, huh?
we sure enough can have discussions on our own, whether it's in our districts or in Republicans' districts, sharing with them what's happening. We have the bully pulpit, but Michael Steele, the party that you belong to and the party that I belong to, I worked for Republican Senate members of the House. I worked in the Bush administration. Those Republicans are shook.
Yeah.
Trump has them shook.
Yeah.
They're not willing to do the job that people have sent them there for, which is to ensure that this project, Call America, that our parents fought for, my dad fought in the Korean War for, is there for them, and they're...
Yeah, well, it might be there for them, but if it's like it is now, then that's not nothing to brag about. We should leave it there for them, but better than we found it. And we can't be mad at Donald Trump because from his first term to his second term, he has maneuvered more power, and he has these senators and Congress folks down there in the House who were opposing him openly, saying shit in front of the mic about him, bad, negatively, and he ain't like it. So he's using his power to let them people know, come at me like that now and see what happened to you. And they're not. Not only they're not opposing him, they're supporting him. So you cannot be mad at a guy who has increased his power and his influence within his party. You guys still might be in disarray and not understand where he's going with it. And I know damn well I am. But you got to admire the fact that he has taken the Republican Party that he was not a part of, a real genuine part of, and controlled it and made it his own and got people scared to vote certain ways, even though they know it ain't what they believe, but they know what the result's going to be if they do. He going to come get you. So they like, yeah, I better. Now, if Biden or anybody else could have that kind of power, they would, but they can't. So they got to play like they're nice. You're not nice. You have to be nice because that's the only way you can even communicate to these people. These Democrats are all over the place. And the Republicans were too, to a point. But they united under this president, and don't be envious of it. We should try to do something that would look close to it, but we have to be more inclusive. And I don't mean about no illegal immigrants. I'm talking about the people who are here who have been ignored for decades. Those are the people we need to start worrying about our relationship with them. And if they good, that's how we need to be as Americans. We need to prioritize our citizens first, because that's the benefit of being a citizen. You need to enforce local laws that could have adverse health effects. You can't have measles outbreaks in the United States of America and blame it on the Trump administration when everybody knows that in the last administration we let millions and millions and millions and millions of people in from a country that has not eradicated measles. So if all these people came in from these countries that didn't have measles eradicated, it's a potential that could be where it's coming from. Why does it have to be coming from wherever else? Like what are they saying now? Oh, by Kennedy being over the CDC and everything, everybody is like, oh no, no. He has nothing to do with us not being immunized at all. He has nothing to do with the outbreak of measles. He ain't done nothing yet. But 12 million, 20 million, whatever number you want to settle on, sneaking into our country is a potential for HIV, measles, M1, X1, G1, anything could come through that border, a communicable disease and harm our country. But Biden understood that and he still allowed that to happen. So those are the things that I see clearly. Those are the things that have nothing to do with party. And those are the things when I start talking and knowing that the Democrats don't love us. And the Democrats who get out there and speak for them, they don't love us either. You'd rather get out there and steer your people into harm's way, or maybe they won't die immediately, but their quality of life will be lessened because you refuse to enlighten them. You refuse to lead them through this, and you refuse to stand with them. You'd rather be on the other side as the messenger.
Good. Yes, there are things that are wrong in our government. And as my dear friend Johanna Hayes said last night, we want to take out garbage out of government. We'll take out the trash. Don't burn down the house.
The house might need to be burned down, or a few rooms need to be renovated. That might need to happen. Why are we so protective of this country and this government that has just stomped all over us? It's okay to understand the good parts and the wonderful things that the United States has. But there's so many good things and wonderful things that we haven't been able to enjoy like everyone else has. And we can sit here and brag and fight and plead for these things that we don't even get to enjoy. And they expect that out of us. Well, you might not have that right, but you have to fight to make sure everyone else does. Well, that's bullshit. Oh, that was the end of them. I really enjoyed her visit with Steele because it just lets you know that some of them don't have to be Jasmine Crockett to get out all loud and boisterous on the mic. Some of them can be just like this young lady, mild-mannered, nice, appeared to be well-educated, and not having to be all out in the mic every 15 minutes. But when you give her the mic, she know how to speak. She know what to say. Her conversation is going to be very close to Jasmine Crockett's. She ain't up there to do anything beneficial for you or me, unfortunately. And with that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next Black Popcorn.